Imagine waking up beneath the shadow of Mount Fuji, stepping outside into crisp mountain air, hearing the gentle sound of a forest stream, and watching clouds slowly drift across one of Japan's most iconic mountains. Imagine soaking in a traditional hot spring, surrounded by autumn-colored forests, cruising across a mysterious volcanic lake, walking through an ancient cedar forest once traveled by samurai, and riding a cable car above steaming volcanic valleys where the earth itself seems alive. Welcome to Hakone, a mountain paradise just a short journey from Tokyo. Hakone is one of Japan's most enchanting escapes, a destination where volcanic landscapes, traditional Japanese culture, luxurious Ryokan, peaceful temples, scenic railways, and spectacular views of Mount Fuji come together. For centuries, travelers have journeyed through this region. During Japan's Edo period, Hakone was an important station along the historic Tokaido Road connecting Edo, today's Tokyo, with Kyoto. Today, the ancient roads have become scenic trails, the old post towns have become cultural attractions, and the hot springs that once welcomed weary travelers continue to draw visitors from around the world. Hakone is not simply somewhere you visit, it is somewhere you experience. You listen to the forests, you breathe the mountain air, you slow down, you soak, you explore, and you allow Japan's natural beauty to unfold around you. So prepare your camera, pack your walking shoes, and perhaps bring a towel for an unforgettable onsen experience. In this episode of WorldFrame Expeditions, we're counting down the 10 best things to do in Hakone, Japan. From number 10, all the way to our number 1 unforgettable Hakone experience. Let's begin. Number 10. Explore Hakone Open Air Museum. Our journey begins with art in the mountains. The Hakone Open Air Museum is one of the region's most fascinating attractions. Imagine walking through beautifully landscaped gardens surrounded by mountains, and suddenly encountering monumental sculptures rising from the greenery. Instead of wandering through enclosed galleries, you're exploring art beneath the open sky. The museum features works by internationally recognized artists, including an impressive collection associated with Pablo Picasso. Large sculptures stand among lawns, trees, flowers, and mountain views. Every turn creates a new composition. Art, nature, architecture, and landscape become part of the same experience. One of the museum's highlights is the Picasso Pavilion, where visitors can discover works spanning different periods of the artist's career. The museum also features interactive spaces and attractions that make it enjoyable for families. And then there is the setting. Hakone's mountains form a natural backdrop. The weather changes the atmosphere. Sunlight creates different shadows. Autumn leaves add brilliant colors. Winter brings a quiet, almost minimalist beauty, and spring introduces fresh greenery and flowers. The museum proves that art doesn't always need walls. Sometimes the sky is the ceiling, the forest is the gallery, and the mountains are the frame. Number 9. Ride the Hakone Tozan Railway. Now, it's time to climb into the mountains. The Hakone Tozan Railway is one of Japan's most charming mountain railway experiences. Unlike high-speed Japanese trains designed to get you somewhere as quickly as possible, this railway invites you to slow down. The train winds through steep mountain terrain. Dense forests surround the tracks. Small bridges cross ravines. And during certain seasons, colorful hydrangeas and autumn foliage transform the journey into a moving postcard. The railway uses switchbacks to navigate the steep slopes. At certain points, the train changes direction as it climbs. This isn't simply transportation. It's part of the attraction. Sit beside the window, put away your phone for a moment, and watch Japan pass slowly outside. In spring and summer, the forests are lush and green. Autumn turns the mountains into a spectacular palette of red, orange, and gold. And winter creates a quieter atmosphere, with mist and snow sometimes adding a magical touch. For photographers, the journey offers countless opportunities. For families, it becomes an adventure. And for anyone who simply wants to experience a slower side of Japan, this train ride is unforgettable. Number 8. Walk the old Tokaido Road and Hakone Checkpoint. Before Japan became famous for bullet trains, before modern highways crossed the country, travel between Tokyo and Kyoto was a very different experience. The historic Tokaido Road was one of the most important routes of Edo period Japan, and Hakone was one of its most significant stations. Today, travelers can walk portions of the old route and imagine what it was like centuries ago. One of the most atmospheric sections passes through an ancient cedar avenue. Massive trees line the path. Their trunks rise high above you. The forest filters the sunlight, and the noise of modern life seems to disappear. Then you'll encounter the Hakone checkpoint, a reconstructed historical site that once controlled movement along the Tokaido. During the Edo period, checkpoints played an important role in controlling travelers and protecting the Tokugawa shogunate. Today, visitors can explore the reconstructed buildings and learn about travel during feudal Japan. Standing here creates a fascinating contrast. Modern Japan is famous for efficiency and speed, but this trail reminds us of a time when journeys were measured in days, not hours, and travel wasn't simply about reaching your destination. The journey itself was the adventure. Number 7. Visit Hakone Shrine and the famous lake Ashinoko Torii. Few images represent Hakone more beautifully than the bright red torii gate, standing in the waters of Lake Ashinoko. This is Hakone Shrine. Hidden among towering cedar trees, the shrine has been a place of worship for centuries. The approach is atmospheric. Walk beneath enormous trees, follow stone pathways, climb steps surrounded by forest, and eventually, the shrine appears. The architecture is elegant and peaceful. The atmosphere is quiet, and the surrounding forest creates a feeling of separation from the modern world. Then there is the famous torii gate by the lake. Depending on the conditions, you may see visitors lining up to photograph it, but patience is rewarded. Early morning can be especially beautiful. Mist may hover over the lake, mountains rise beyond the water, and the red gate creates a dramatic contrast against the natural landscape. Lake Ashinoko itself is one of Hakone's defining features. Created thousands of years ago by volcanic activity, the lake is surrounded by mountains and forests. Take a moment here. Don't simply photograph the torii. Look across the water, listen to the wind, watch the boats, and appreciate the extraordinary combination of nature and spirituality. Number 6. Cruise across Lake Ashinoko. After visiting the shrine, why not experience the lake itself? A cruise across Lake Ashinoko is one of Hakone's most enjoyable activities, and Hakone's sightseeing boats are certainly not ordinary. Some are designed with elaborate fantasy-inspired exteriors, giving passengers the feeling of sailing aboard a legendary pirate ship. As the boat leaves the harbor, the scenery gradually opens. Forested mountains surround the lake. Hakone Shrine's torii may appear along the shoreline. Small boats move across the water, and on exceptionally clear days, Mount Fuji may reveal itself in the distance. The lake changes character throughout the year. Spring brings fresh greenery. Summer creates deep blue skies and lush mountains. Autumn transforms the surrounding hills into a sea of red and gold. Winter brings crisp air and exceptional clarity on certain days. For travelers who prefer relaxed sightseeing, this is perfect. You don't need to hike, you don't need to climb. Just sit back, feel the cool mountain air, and watch the landscape drift slowly past. It's one of those experiences where the journey itself becomes the destination. Number 5. Ride the Hakone ropeway over Owakudani. Now we're heading somewhere completely different. A landscape that looks almost otherworldly. Owakudani. To reach it, ride the Hakone ropeway high above the mountains. As the gondola rises, the landscape changes dramatically. Forests give way to volcanic terrain. Steam rises from the ground. The smell of sulfur fills the air, and suddenly you realize Hakone is not simply a mountain resort, it is an active volcanic landscape. Owakudani was formed during the last major eruption of Mount Hakone thousands of years ago. Today, volcanic gases and steam continue to escape from the earth. The landscape looks almost alien. Dark rocks, white steam, yellowish mineral deposits, and dramatic mountain slopes. On clear days, the views can be extraordinary. And then comes one of Hakone's most famous culinary traditions: black eggs. These eggs are boiled in naturally heated volcanic waters, causing their shells to turn black. Local tradition says eating one is associated with longevity. Whether you believe the legend or simply enjoy the unusual snack, it's one of those distinctly Hakone experiences. But remember that volcanic areas can occasionally face temporary closures because of gases or other safety conditions. Always follow current local guidance. The earth here is beautiful, but it deserves respect. Number 4. Stay in a traditional ryokan and experience an onsen. Now we arrive at one of the experiences that truly defines Hakone, the onsen. Hakone is one of Japan's most famous hot spring destinations. Natural geothermal waters flow beneath the region, creating numerous hot spring resorts. And one of the best ways to experience Hakone is by staying in a traditional ryokan. Imagine arriving at a peaceful Japanese inn. You remove your shoes. Step onto traditional tatami flooring. Your room features minimalist design. A low table sits near the window. And perhaps beyond the garden, you can see mountains covered in forest. Later you change into a yukata robe. Then, it's time for the bath. The warm, mineral-rich water surrounds you. Steam rises into the cool mountain air. The forest is silent. And suddenly, the world slows down. No traffic, no emails, no deadlines. Just warm water, fresh mountain air, and tranquility. Some ryokan offer private baths, while others provide communal facilities. If you use a traditional public onsen, remember the etiquette. Wash thoroughly before entering the bath. Keep towels out of the water. Avoid swimming, and respect the peaceful atmosphere. For many visitors, the onsen experience becomes the emotional heart of their Hakone trip, because it isn't just about bathing, it's about relaxation, ritual, and connection with a centuries-old Japanese tradition. Number 3. Discover the mysteries of the Hakone art and cultural scene. Hakone has a remarkable relationship with art. Beyond the open-air museum, the region contains numerous galleries and specialized museums that transform the mountains into a cultural destination. One standout experience is the Hakone Venetian Glass Museum, where visitors can admire elaborate glass artworks displayed among beautifully designed gardens. Another is the Polo Museum of Art, surrounded by forest and featuring an impressive collection of European and Japanese works. And then there are smaller galleries scattered throughout the region. The beauty of Hakone's museums is that the architecture itself often becomes part of the experience. Glass walls frame forests, gardens surround sculptures, natural light fills galleries, and mountains become part of the visual composition. This is a destination where culture doesn't compete with nature, it works alongside it. Spend the morning hiking, visit a museum in the afternoon, then finish the day soaking in an onsen. That combination is what makes Hakone so special. Number 2. Chase the perfect view of Mount Fuji. Now, we reach the dream that brings many travelers to Hakone. Mount Fuji, Japan's sacred and iconic mountain, rises majestically beyond the surrounding landscape. But there is one important lesson every traveler should know. You cannot order Mount Fuji to appear. The mountain has its own schedule. Clouds may cover the summit, mist may fill the valleys, rain can completely hide the mountain, and then, on another morning, the clouds suddenly disappear, and there it is, perfect, symmetrical, snow-capped, majestic. One of the best opportunities to see Fuji from Hakone is around Lake Ashinoko, where clear weather can create spectacular compositions involving the lake, surrounding mountains, and the iconic peak. Another option is to explore viewpoints around the Hakone ropeway area. And sometimes, the most beautiful Fuji experience is completely unexpected. You're sitting on a train, looking through a window, or walking along a quiet road, and suddenly the mountain appears between the trees. You stop. Everyone stops. For a few seconds, nobody says anything. Because some landscapes don't need words. If seeing Mount Fuji is one of your priorities, give yourself several opportunities. Don't rely on one viewpoint or one afternoon. Weather can change quickly, and that's part of the adventure. You don't chase Fuji because it's guaranteed. You chase it because the moment it appears feels earned. Number 1. Experience the complete Hakone Loop. Our number 1 experience isn't a single attraction. It is the journey that connects them all. The Hakone Loop. This is the ultimate way to experience the diversity of Hakone. Imagine beginning your journey aboard the mountain railway, watching the train climb through forests. then transferring to the cable car, ascending higher into the mountains, continuing toward the volcanic landscape of Owakudani, riding above steaming valleys, then traveling down toward Lake Ashinoko, boarding a sightseeing cruise, crossing the water, exploring Hakone Shrine, walking through historic cedar forests, and eventually returning toward the railway. In a single day, you can experience forests, mountains, volcanic valleys, lakes, temples, museums, historic roads, traditional food, and hot springs. That's what makes the Hakone Loop so extraordinary. It's not simply transportation. It's a story, a journey through the geological, historical, cultural, and spiritual character of the region. And every section feels different. One moment you're surrounded by ancient trees, the next you're looking at volcanic steam, then you're floating across a mountain lake, then you're standing before a centuries-old shrine, and eventually, you're soaking in warm mineral water beneath the mountains. Hakone is a destination of transitions. Forest to volcano, volcano to lake, lake to shrine, history to modernity, adventure to relaxation. And that's why the complete Hakone experience takes our #1 spot, because the best way to understand Hakone is to move through it. If you're staying in Hakone for more than one day, don't rush back to Tokyo. There is much more to discover. Explore the Hakone Botanical Garden of Wetlands, particularly beautiful during the warmer months. Visit the Hakone Sekisho and learn more about Edo period travel. Discover local crafts and traditional woodwork. Take a scenic walk around Lake Ashinoko. Enjoy a Japanese tea ceremony. Try local sweets, sample regional soba noodles, or simply spend an entire afternoon at your Ryokan. Sometimes, the most luxurious thing you can do in Hakone is nothing at all. Hakone's cuisine reflects its mountain setting and traditional Japanese culture. Look for handmade soba noodles, often served hot or cold. Try black eggs associated with Owakudani. Sample traditional Japanese sweets known as wagashi. Enjoy fresh seasonal vegetables. And if you're staying in a ryokan, don't miss the opportunity to experience a traditional kaiseki-style dinner. A multi-course meal can include beautifully presented fish, vegetables, tofu, soup, rice, pickles, and seasonal ingredients. The presentation is almost as important as the taste. Each dish arrives like a small piece of art, and that's part of Japanese dining culture. Food isn't simply fuel. It is craftsmanship, seasonality, balance, and beauty. Hakone is a year-round destination, but each season offers a different experience. Spring brings fresh greenery and cherry blossoms. Summer offers lush forests, comfortable mountain escapes, and vibrant scenery. Autumn is one of the most spectacular seasons, with brilliant red, orange, and golden foliage. Winter can provide crisp skies and potentially clearer views of Mount Fuji, while hot springs become especially inviting. If Mount Fuji is your priority, remember that visibility depends heavily on weather. Early mornings are often your best opportunity, and if autumn foliage is your goal, check local seasonal forecasts before traveling, because peak color varies from year to year. One of Hakone's greatest advantages is its interconnected transportation network. Trains connect the region with major transport hubs. Mountain railways climb through the forests. Cable cars provide access to higher elevations. The ropeway crosses volcanic terrain. Sightseeing boats cross Lake Ashinoko. And buses connect areas that aren't directly served by rail. For many visitors, a regional transport pass can simplify the journey and make the famous Hakone Loop easier to navigate. But remember, schedules can change. Some services may be affected by weather, and volcanic activity can occasionally cause temporary restrictions. Always check current operating information before setting out. Here are a few tips to make your Hakone adventure smoother. First, don't try to see everything in one rush day. If possible, stay at least one night. Hakone becomes much more magical after the day trippers leave. Second, pack comfortable walking shoes. Even with excellent public transportation, you'll still be walking. Third, bring layers. Mountain weather can be significantly cooler than Tokyo. Fourth, if you're visiting an onsen, learn the etiquette beforehand. A little preparation goes a long way. Fifth, keep your itinerary flexible. Weather can affect mountain transportation and Fuji visibility. And finally, leave room for spontaneity. The most memorable Hakone moments may not be the ones you planned, They might be a quiet forest path, a cup of tea beside a window, a sudden glimpse of Mount Fuji, or the sound of rain falling outside your Ryokan room. Hakone is more than a day trip from Tokyo. It is a journey into another side of Japan, a Japan of steaming volcanic valleys, ancient cedar forests, sacred shrines, mountain railways, traditional Ryokan, quiet lakes, and hot springs surrounded by nature. It is a place where the past remains visible, where travelers can still follow routes once used by samurai, where centuries-old traditions remain part of everyday life, and where nature is not simply scenery. It is part of the experience. You can spend your morning looking for Mount Fuji,
your afternoon exploring a volcanic valley,
your evening crossing Lake Ashinoko, and your night soaking beneath the stars. That is Hakone, a place where adventure and tranquility exist side by side, where every train journey becomes a scenic experience, every meal becomes a cultural discovery, every hot spring becomes a moment of peace, and every glimpse of Mount Fuji becomes a memory. So if Japan is on your travel list for 2026, don't simply visit Tokyo. Take the journey into the mountains. Follow the railway. Cross the lake. Walk beneath the cedar trees. Listen to the silence. And let Hakone reveal itself slowly. Because sometimes, the greatest destinations aren't the places you rush through. They're the places that teach you how to slow down. If you enjoyed this journey with WorldFrame Expeditions, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more incredible destinations around the world. And tell us in the comments, which Hakone experience would you choose first? The mysterious volcanic landscape of Owakudani? The peaceful waters of Lake Ashinoko? The ancient Hakone Shrine? A traditional Japanese onsen? Or the unforgettable sight of Mount Fuji? Until our next adventure, keep exploring, keep discovering, and remember, the world is waiting beyond the horizon. This is WorldFrame Expeditions. Sayonara, and safe travels.